Hello, fantasy players, and welcome back to Engage 8 Fantasy Football. I'm Justin Stevens with you again, and today's episode is a special episode because, as you guys know, typically, we like to talk about fantasy football. Today, we're going to dip in a little bit into actual NFL football. We are going to go over projections for this upcoming NFL season, and we are going over the AFC. I have a special guest with me from high school, a buddy of mine, actually going to be in his wedding in a couple months. So it gives me an opportunity to publicly congratulate him on that. So this will be a lot of fun to have Kenny on board. So with that being said, just remember, make sure you hit that like button if you like what you see. Subscribe so that we can get our numbers up there to help reach more people, and ask us any questions down at the bottom if you'd like. Hey, Kenny, welcome to the show.
Hey, thanks for having me, man.
Right on. It's good to have you. How are you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
Excellent. I know I just saw you last weekend, the whole tux fitting and beat-up and all that good stuff. So
yeah. It was a good time, and it's a great time to sit here and be able to talk football tonight.
That's right. Awesome. All right. So as you see across the bottom there, we got our special guest here, and this is episode 15, where we're going to be talking about our AFC projections. We're going to start with the AFC South. At the end, we're going to kind of give a brief rundown on what our playoffs are going to look like, but we're going to have a whole nother episode in a couple episodes where we talk playoffs. Tonight, we're going to talk AFC. We might get into NFC, but we'll talk playoffs another night. But yeah, so I guess right out the gate, we're going to start with the AFC South because Kenny and I are both avid Colts fans.
Yes, sir.
My viewers, my followers, they already know that because I can't stop talking about them. So we may as well start with their division first. So Kenny, just right out the gate with the AFC South here, what do you got with our home team? What do you think?
Well, I'm sure people might think I'm being a homer here, but with our home team I do think the Colts have done enough through the off season. Adding Phillip Rivers. A lot of people weren't crazy about that pick. I'm on the fence with it. I think it could be good. I think it could be bad. I'm not real sure. Adding Jonathan Taylor to it. I think all that kind of stuff really goes good. I like the pick Michael Pittman. I like how they traded for Sheldon for DeForest Buckner. I thought that was a good one. And then they picked up Trey Burton from the Bears. So I got them at 11-5 on top of the division.
Okay. So you have them winning the division at 11-5.
Yes, sir.
All right. Right on. Well, before I give you my division winner for that division, I need to kind of throw out a disclaimer about my picks because I have a lot of teams that have a lot of wins, a little bit more so than usual, but that's mostly because I don't like to try to reach to find that team that's going to win. So, like, for instance, with the Ravens, I've got them at 14-2. I don't really think they're going to be 14-2. But I don't want to try to reach to find that third or fourth team in that easy schedule that's going to beat the powerhouse team. I think really with projections, what it comes down to is whether or not we have our 7 playoff teams correct. You know what I mean?
I agree.
All right. So some of my numbers might sound a little out of whack, but that's because I'm going to start off by saying that I have the Tennessee Titans winning the division at 14-2.
Ooh.
14-2. Yes. Now, again, let me kind of explain myself here. So I do have them winning one big game that's kind of next to impossible early on at Minnesota. But I have that mainly because I really believe in this Dalvin Cook holdout possibility. If he holds out, that's only week 3. So if he does hold out, I like the Titans defense enough to hold off that running game enough and possibly pull out that upset victory. Yeah. Outside of that, I don't see them having a tough schedule until they get to Indianapolis in week what is that, week 10, 11? Yeah, week 10, and Indianapolis, at home against Indianapolis. So I don't want to try to reach through that schedule to try to see outside of Minnesota who the other two teams are that's going to beat them. So, again, it's not so much that I think they're going to finish 14-2. I really don't. I'm sure they're going to lose probably 2, maybe 3 more games. But the point is that I have them winning the division, and that I do wholeheartedly believe in because I'm close to the same record as you with Indy. I've got them at 10-6.
Okay, we've got those.
Yeah, yeah. So, but with Indy, with the whole Rivers thing, I think, and you know this because we've talked about it ad nauseum. And so have my listeners. They've heard all this, so I'm not going to go into too much detail. I just feel like they've got such an incredible team around them that they're going to win despite Phillip Rivers, not because of Phillip Rivers. And I wholeheartedly still believe that even Jacoby Brissett is better at this point in his career. Obviously, Rivers is a much better career quarterback.
Absolutely, he's a Hall of Famer.
Yeah, and Brissett is a career backup. I get it, but I just feel talent-wise. At his age, I just feel like Rivers is at best a backup, and he's too good to be a backup, so he should have retired.
You think he should have went ahead and started his head coaching career for high school, huh?
That's right. Take it a little early.
Yeah. Well, I've got the Titans at 10-6.
You got the Titans at 10-6. Okay, yeah. That's so only off by 1 game. Do you still have the Titans in the playoffs then?
I do. Yes, I got them as a wild card.
Do you know what seed?
They'll probably be, from what I'm looking at here, they might actually end up being the 7.
Okay. I've got Indy as the 6 seed with Tennessee at 14-2, the 3 seed. So, like I said, I've got some high numbers there. I'm confident they're going to get the 3 seed. I just don't know what other 2 or 3 losses they're going to have.
No, I got you.
Houston last in the division at 5-11. I feel like after trading away Hopkins and putting so much more focus on a running back that they don't really need, I've lost all confidence in that coaching staff.
I've still got them at 10-6. I think they're going to be tied with the Titans, but I still think Titans will get them over tiebreakers because they did take in Brandon Cooks. I know he's a little bit aging, but he's still a good deep threat. They got Randall Cobb still, and David Johnson will be productive, and they probably do still have the best quarterback in the division.
I can agree with that, definitely.
I got the Jags bringing up the rear in that one in 6-10.
I got the Jags at 6-10 also. But to your point about Cooks, I can honestly be the first to admit that I have always, over his entire career, underrated and underestimated Brandon Cook. Every year he outperforms what I expect. This year, I'm not expecting much, and he's going to outperform that. So you're probably right.
I think that Super Bowl the Eagles beat the Patriots a couple years ago could have been different if Brandon Cooks didn't get knocked the hell out.
Yeah, definitely. All right, so we'll move from the AFC South over to the AFC West here. Let's see. You started us last time, so I'll start us off this time. With the number 1 overall seed, I have the Kansas City Chiefs at 14-2. So you see the 3 seed, the 1 seed, and then now obviously the 2 seed, all at 14-2. So again, my point is KC should still finish better than the other 2. I just don't know which 1 or 2 more games KC is going to lose compared to the 3 or 4 that Tennessee will. But all right, so Kansas City, I've got at 14-2. Returning champions. That schedule with Kansas City. If you look down Kansas City's schedule here, we've got, where's it at? At Baltimore is a tough matchup in week 3.
Yeah, that's week 2. Is that week? Yeah, that's week. No, that's week 2, isn't it?
I thought it was week
3. I'm sorry. I'm looking at my schedule. Yep, the week 3.
And then after that, I don't see anything tough for them until at Tampa Bay later on, and at New Orleans in week 15. Yeah, and I have them winning 2 of those 3 games. So I think their schedule is way too easy for them. Obviously they're going to lose another divisional game. Freaking Tampa Bay or Carolina is going to pull something crazy out their butts and pull off a victory, and you can't predict that, in my opinion. So So that's where I got that. How about you? I'm sure you still have Kansas City winning that division.
I do have Kansas City. I do have Kansas City winning. I got them at 12-4. I think I got them a little more realistic.
That is very much more realistic.
I think they're going to split with Oakland. I do think Oakland will get them one game.
Okay.
I think they're going to have a rough time going to Baltimore in week 3. And then they still got to go to New Orleans later on in the season. So those are 3 potential losses there. And then, usually it's Kansas City. They usually drop one that you're like, what are you doing, Reed? What are you doing? That's so, that's
if you feel okay, let's say Kansas City and the Raiders played each other 20 times this season. How many times do you think the Chiefs would win?
14.
14 out of 20. So those odds, that number, you're looking at, I don't know, whatever 14 times 5 is. That's 70%, right? So 70% of the time you think the Chiefs win that game.
I think so.
They only play each other twice, and you're counting on the Raiders to pull it off 50% of the time.
I think they will split. I do think they'll split into here. And here's what's really crazy in my prediction. I think Oakland will get them at Kansas City.
Oh, okay. All right. Let me see if I can figure out why. Let's see. So the first game they play each other is at Kansas City early on, and week 5.
October 11th.
So what you're thinking there?
Why will they get them?
Yeah, like how are they going to get them at Kansas City rather than at home?
If you look at a lot of Kansas City's past games, they start extremely slow for some reason at home. Look at the playoffs.
Okay.
I mean, I thought for sure they were getting blown out of the building by Tennessee and Houston.
Yeah, Andy Reid as a coach is traditionally a slow starter. I can give you that.
Yeah, I agree. So I just think if they get off to a slow start too much, and especially a team that knows them like Oakland and against a coach like John Gruden, I think it's possible that they not bounce back from. And, I think Gruden's also one of those coaches that will just keep his foot on the throttle.
Okay.
And
definitely against a division rival as well. Yeah,
absolutely. So that's kind of my thinking.
All right. I like it. I like the reasoning. I don't agree with it, but I like the reasoning. Let's see. So I've got the Raiders. Actually, no, I've got the Chargers in last place in that division at 4-12.
I've got them 8-8.
You got the Chargers 8-8?
I do. I don't know why, but I do.
You have them last?
No, I got the Broncos last.
Okay. At what? 6-10?
Yes, I do.
Me too.
I mean, worst quarterback in the division. I think Herbert's even going to be better than Locke. So
yeah, and hopefully Herbert can get that starting spot soon.
Yeah, I agree. So I think I think San Diego's on the way up. I think they definitely had to take Herbert with their pick. I think it was definitely time for them to divorce Rivers and move on from that. I think yeah, I think so for the most part. But I still think he's got some gas in the tank.
Yeah, hopefully. Listen, when it comes to Chris Ballard, man, the only decision he's made so far that I disagree with is Phillip Rivers. So with his track record of making nothing but good choices, even dating back to Kansas City, I'm hoping that he's still correct and he's got one more good season in him. Like, I got to give him the benefit of the doubt,
I agree with you there.
So I have a combined 15 wins for the other 3 teams in that division and 14 for Kansas City. That's how bad I think that division's going to be.
I've got 24 wins combined, all of them, but I mean, Tennessee's going to go half of that Kansas City's going to go half of that by themselves.
Right. And I mean, obviously yours is probably a little bit more realistic.
We'll see.
All right, AFC North, it's your turn to kick us off.
All right, I've got the Ravens winning that division as the number 1 seed, 13-3. big reason being is because their schedule is, absolutely just simple. It's not a rough schedule at all. They're good. I do think, however, Lamar Jackson might have a little bit of a sophomore slump. But two of the big games that I think they'll lose, I do think they'll drop one against Pittsburgh, and I think this might sound crazy to a lot of y'all, but I think Dallas could possibly get them on December 3rd.
I have Dallas winning this game also.
Yeah, so it's also a kind of a tough division. Those teams beat each other up quite a bit. And I think honestly, it's like I said, they've got a simple division, but I still think they'll drop a few. They've got, they got to play the Titans as well. I think Titans could possibly get them. So, yeah, I still think they're overall. I think overall they're the best team in the AFC from top to bottom.
You can't argue that. They were, I believe they're the number one seed last season. Yeah, they were.
I believe they're 14-2.
And Kansas City were 2. Yeah, and like you said, look at their schedule. Houston without Hopkins early on in week 2, Washington in week 4, Cincinnati twice, Cleveland twice. I agree that Pittsburgh will likely split with them, but I didn't put it that way because, again, I can't predict that. I try to go with the one that I'm most confident each game, but I can definitely see a split there for sure. At Indianapolis could be tough. At New England, since New England is week 10, maybe that gives Belichick time to work his magic with Jared Stidham. If that team can put it together by then, but I still don't see that being a tough game for the Ravens. Yeah, it's just too easy of a schedule. Like for fantasy purposes, you want and I definitely think even with this easy schedule, you're going to see fantasy regression with Lamar because you have to. He was too good. You're not going to have amazing Hall of Fame seasons 2 seasons in a row. It's just not going to happen. But at an 80% regression, he's still going to be a top-tier quarterback in fantasy football. So with this schedule especially, he's still going to have those breakout 45-point games, Well,
yeah, he's a dual threat. So he's going to have – some games he might throw for 75 yards, but he might rush for 120.
And 2 touchdowns.
Exactly. So he's kind of he's like I said, he's a dual threat.
Yep. Yeah, so I've already kind of hinted around that I've got Baltimore also winning that division at 14-2, and but I have them as the 2 seed. I do think in the end, because of that regression, that's maybe I don't want to call it a sophomore slump with him because I don't think it'll be a slump necessarily, but there's always that second year where the other teams get the video footage and they know how to prepare for it a little better. I think he'll have a hiccup or two. But my surprise pick in this division is that I have Pittsburgh in as the number 5 seed at 10-6. What do you think about that?
I've got Pittsburgh at 11-5.
Yeah,
they're going to get they're going to get a healthy Ben back. I still think even though Roethlisberger's getting older, coming off of an injury that took his whole season away. I still think the dude can ball out. He's still a good quarterback.
Last year with that experiment they had with the multiple quarterbacks all getting hurt, that horrible season that Pittsburgh had the playoffs been set up and structured like they were last season, Pittsburgh would have been the number 7 seed that made the playoffs.
Absolutely, and I tell you what, I was never. No, I agree. I've never been a big Tomlin fan, but I tell you what, man, he coached his butt off last year to get that team where they were at. I thought he should have got Coach of the Year. He showed me he can really coach football.
He's a great coach.
Absolutely.
I never liked that little movie made on the sidelines to act like he was about to jump out onto the field and tackle that guy that was returning the touchdown. But
yeah,
I got a chuckle out of it. I did laugh a little, but I did think that was a little dirty, but other than that, I've always kind of liked Tomlin. But let's see. I've got Cleveland at 5-11 and Cincinnati actually winning 6 games this year.
Hey, I do too.
Hey, all right. How about that?
The Joe Burrow show.
That's right, baby. No. That's right.
The Browns 7-9. I mean, they're the Browns. You can't expect a lot out of them right now, and I still don't think Baker's the future there.
Well, I really struggle with Cleveland because, like, I feel like by play on the field, Cleveland's got to do better this year because Jarvis and OBJ were both hurt last year, and they didn't play well as a team. They weren't, together. But if you look at their schedule, man, they start right out the gate with Baltimore. I think they could get a couple easy wins against the Bengals and the Redskins, but then it's Dallas, Indy, Pittsburgh. I feel like Cincinnati, up and coming, they're going to split one of those early, and then they should beat the Raiders. They should beat the Eagles, but they still have Houston. And then after that, I don't know. Maybe I have them beating the Jets towards the end of the season, and maybe they could beat the Giants because I'm still not big on them. But I think I might have picked the Giants there just because I felt like they needed to get some wins. But I don't know, man. It's just they've got a tough schedule, especially in the beginning, and
they do
another 2-5 season, or maybe 3-5 going into the bye. I don't know, man. Cleveland just seems like that type of team that might bench Baker or fire a coach.
No, I agree.
Or throw out fans.
Well, throw out fans. Well, I mean, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I feel like Baker has the mentality of somebody that when things aren't going right, his attitude gets the best of him and he starts to crumble.
Yeah, I can see that, yeah.
And I think if they get off to a slow start, which looking at their schedule here, I think it's highly possible. I just don't feel like Baker is the guy. But if you look historically, I do think they'll split with Pittsburgh or it's possible they split with Pittsburgh. I don't know if they will. But if you look at, like, for previous years, they always played Pittsburgh really, really well.
Yeah. The only thing I had against that is the first time that they play each other's at Pittsburgh early on, and I think Pittsburgh wins that game. So it would have to be week 17. And I think at that point, the Steelers will still be fighting for a good playoff position. So they'll have something to play for. And the Browns are less likely to be playing for something. So that's kind of why I had Pittsburgh winning both games there. Other than that, I think normally agree with you. I mean, it could be week 5,
Could be.
Yeah, no, I agree with you on Baker's mentality too, because like this is his opportunity to show that he's actually a professional. Like, what did you learn from last season with everything not going very well? You know what I mean? Yeah. And if he can compose himself, then who knows?
Yeah, he definitely needs to mature a lot. Excuse me, but yeah, he just isn't. I don't know, man. His mindset's like a child. If things don't go the way I want, then I'm just gonna pout about it and blame everybody else for it. That's not the way to be a leader and go about it.
Yeah, but hey, sometimes it works. So that's why we're having wings for dinner tonight.
Hey, there you go.
All right. Let's move on to the AFC East. And I believe whose turn is it to kick us off?
I believe it's yours this time.
All right, I'll take it. All right, hey, the AFC East. This will be a fun one. This I doubt it'll be too controversial because I think a lot of people are predicting it, but I think it's time for the changing of the guard, and I think
I agree.
I don't think that Jarrett Stidham is necessarily the answer, but I also don't think he's a bad quarterback. But I also think he's thrown into a bad situation. Like, who the hell wants to fill in for Tom Brady? Like, nobody wants to fill those shoes. And you and I agree that Brady has gotten really lucky on a lot of his Super Bowl victories.
Yes, he has. Thank you, Vinatieri.
What's that?
I said he needs to thank Vinatieri for 3 of them.
Yeah, but he's also won a lot of games. I mean, you can't argue the fact that he is an incredible winner. He finds a way to win, even though he does play the Jets and the Dolphins and the Bills twice a year. But
anyway. Question is though, does he find the way to win, or does Belichick find the way to win? We may actually get that answered this year.
There you go. Well, sort of, because he went from Belichick to Bruce Arians. He went from pretty crappy wide receivers to some pretty amazing wide receivers. And, you know, they went out and drafted Tampa Bay drafted Keyshawn Vaughn, who is incredible at catching the ball out of the backfield, which is what Brady needs because he's the dump off champion of the world.
Absolutely.
But we'll talk about that more when we get to the NFC. But yeah, so this is where I have my big doozy team. Believe it or not, I still believe that Adam Gase is a horrible NFL coach and that they will only win one game.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Hating on the Jets.
I'm really jumping out there on that one though. But no, I got Buffalo winning this division at 10-6, and they'll take that fourth seed. And how about you? What do you got?
I got the Bills going 11-5, so we're right there together on that one. You know, and the Bills, I think the Bills. I mean, they're going in the right direction. They've got a great defense. I think Josh Allen came along last year pretty well. And even if he goes down, I still feel like they drafted a good guy. You know who I'm talking about, Jake Fromm out of Georgia. Go Dogs!
Yeah, Jake Farm. Yep, I got you.
You know, I still think Fromm has one of the highest IQs in the draft class.
You're right. So, he'll make a hell of a coach one day.
You know, I could be wrong on that one. But you know, I still think. I think either way they're going to be okay. Josh Allen, the only thing he likes to run a lot. So that kind of bothers me. But I still think they're 11-5. I think they're good enough. I think they're the best team in the AFC East. And don't that just sound weird to actually be talking about Buffalo being the best team in the AFC East?
Yeah, kind of. It hasn't been that way since we were kids.
No, I don't. I mean, I was trying to remember that the other day, and the last time somebody took a snap before the Patriots, I was 17 years old.
Oh wow!
Yeah,
and that would have been Drew Bledsoe.
Absolutely, would have been
17. So I was what, 19?
Yep,
that sounds about right because I was at my first real full-time job, and I was hosting a card party and got stuck being on call that night, and I missed the hit. But I heard it on the radio, and I was cheering.
Yeah.
When Bledsoe went down. Who would have known?
Yeah, I believe it was against the Jets, wasn't it, if I'm not mistaken?
Oh, I don't remember that. I can't remember all that.
I think it was against the Jets. But, yeah, he got blew up, and here came Brady, and history had been made.
Had I known, I wouldn't have been so excited. All right, cool. So real quick, it sounds like maybe you didn't necessarily break yours down by seed, but I did. So I'll just give a quick rundown. I've got the number 1 seed, Kansas City. Baltimore will be – oh, and by the way, the 1 seed is the only seed that gets a bye for those of you that have been sleeping under a rock. There are or living under a rock. There are 7 teams that make the playoffs now. So so there will be 3 playoff games in the AFC and 3 in the NFC in the first round. Yeah. So I've got the number 2 seed Baltimore playing against the number 7 seed Miami. The number 3 seed Tennessee will be playing against the 6 seed Indianapolis. And the 4 seed Buffalo will be playing the 5 seed Pittsburgh Steelers.
Okay.
So do you have yours broken down?
I didn't break it down, but I can give you the rundown on it.
I've got that big of a deal. We're going to have a playoff show here in a few nights anyway. So
yeah.
But all right. Well, I tell you what, we're actually at a pretty sweet spot here. I think we've pretty well hit everything. Is there anything in particular that we didn't hit, we didn't touch bases on that you'd like to talk about?
I don't believe. I think I don't. I was just gonna say I have the Patriots going 9-7.
Oh, 9-7. Okay, yeah, we didn't get that, did we?
Yeah. No, I do have them going 9-7. Jets 8-8 and Dolphins 4-12.
9-7, and I had 6-10 on the. Let's talk about the Patriots in the fall real quick.
Okay.
Let's see. So I have them losing those first 4 games right out the gate.
Okay, the Pats.
Yeah.
Okay. I don't know if they'll start out 0-4. I think Belichick's a little bit.
Yeah, buddy.
I think Belichick's a little too good for that. But I don't know. I've got them. Like I said, I got them second in the division. Their first 4.
You know what? I just thought of something, Kenny, because I was thinking about how they've got a new quarterback now, Jarrett Stidham, and that it's a lot less likely. Maybe it takes some time, but I believe you were wrong about the last time the Patriots took a snap without Brady. You remember that season he got hurt against Kansas City in Week 1?
I do, but opening day I meant.
Oh, okay, I got you.
Well, with the exception of when his suspension years. I guess basically the way to say that would be it's been a long time since we talked about anybody else other than Tom Brady and the Patriots.
Right. Because I remember that because way back then, that Kansas City game, it was still a popular, cool thing to take a quarterback in the first rounds. And Brady was coming off of a really good season, and it looked like he was going to blow up. And my first round picks, almost every single year, my first round picks, they get hurt early. So I said, screw it. You know what? This is the time to do it. So I took Tom Brady, and sure enough, he went down, and I was still cheering.
Well, I mean, that was a good year. All I'm going to say is people want to talk about the GOAT, Brady being the GOAT. Brady goes down, they go 11-5. Peyton went down, we went 2-14.
Yep.
Just gonna throw that out there.
Very true. They were a tiebreaker away from making the playoffs.
They absolutely were. They did make it. And the Colts, I didn't know if they were going to win a game that year.
Yep, absolutely. Well, I had to talk a little bit more hate on the Patriots before we signed off because my co-host, my co-owner here at Engage 8, as many of you know, is Joshua Buttrick, and he is a huge New England Patriots fan. So I feel bad when I gloat about the fall of the Patriots dynasty when he's on the show, and it's a lot easier to do it when he's not around. So love you, Josh. Appreciate you, but I've also really appreciated this time. All right, so we're going to sign off here right now, and but here soon we will be coming back at you and talking about the NFC and our predictions for them. So stay tuned. I'm not sure when that episode will drop, the NFC episode, but I can assure you it'll be soon. So thank you very much for watching. I appreciate your time. You guys have a great night. Kenny, I appreciate you. Thanks for coming on.
Thanks for having me, man.
Right on.